Just because I love you, it don't mean I trust you. Everybody not to be trusted. Everybody around me thugging. Everybody around me drugging. Everybody around me hustling. Everybody know not to bring no new riggin' around me. They say I be bugging. Got racks in the go-yard luggage. Just cause I love you, it don't mean I trust you. Everybody not to be trusted.
What up, everybody? It is your host, Quentin Flores. This is Uncut with Q. We talk about so many different things, guys. I feel like every single episode, I always try to lay the premise, you know. But if you are listening right now with your virgin mindset, virgin entrepreneurial ears, whatever it is that you're listening to this from, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, whatever, we stream this on even fucking iHeartRadio, you know. I just want you guys to get value. So if you get value from this, share it. That's it. You know, we're not really, I spend money to do this thing, but I love it and I'm passionate about it. And I know that we're going to impact a lot of people. I just joined this really high level mastermind. I'm going to have a lot of really cool people from different types of businesses join the podcast to give you guys value on stuff. But today I actually got this request from a few of you guys because the episode, we just aired it I think it's airing today, the last one that we've done. But I've shown like a few of my friends already because we mix and master everything before we launch it, right? And so this is my friend Mitzi. Mitzi, introduce yourself.
Hey guys, Mitzi Diane here. I'm a wholesaler, but I love to talk about mindset.
Literally talk about so much stuff. Yeah. Every time I see you, we talk about everything but wholesaling, which is funny. But you know, we do wholesaling all the time, you know, so it's not like it's a thing that we look for when we talk to each other. It's always just good vibes. You know what I mean? We've had plenty of good times together. So guys, Mitzi's a good friend of mine, right? And I wanted to create a new segment. I have 4 different segments. Currently, this is going to be the 5th one. We have Q&A with Ian Q. That's where my friend Aaron Bevins and I answer your questions. So you guys can go to quentinflores.com/askq&E and you can submit your questions to the website. And then we have Trey and Q surf the web, where we basically look at the internet and then whatever's trending, we talk about it, you know? And so Trey and I just literally just bullshit on that one, but that was a lot of fun, to be honest. And you will get value from that show, you know, because Trey and I were super knowledgeable about what we're talking about 30% of the time. And then we have Real Talk, where I come in here and I talk about some real ass shit that's on my mind. And then we have the Amazing Guest Talk, which I haven't gotten a name for it yet, but I bring friends of mine from all over the world to come onto this podcast and talk to you guys about some of the amazing shit that they've done in their lives and the hardships that they've been able to overcome. So guys, this is a new episode and the first episode of what I'm going to be calling Mindset with Mitzi. And so, you know, we had a crazy conversation the last time about like astral projecting realities and stuff. And like, I forgot what it was. It was like some kind of cognitive thinking. What was it called again?
The reticular activating system.
I was about to say testicular activating system because I know a lot about that one as a man. But reticular activating system is essentially when you're like your mind travels to the things that you see because you're already perceiving yourself in that kind of way. So like if you're struggling and that's all you can think about, then you're going to see a lot more struggles, right? Mm. And like when you buy a car, you buy like a Honda Civic, right? You never really looked at Honda Civics before, but now you look at them all the time. This happened to me the other day, right? So last time Mitzi was here, I didn't have a truck. Now I have a truck. I bought a brand new 2022 TRX. I love it. There's no reason why 6,800 pounds should have 700 plus horsepower, but I wanted that truck. So I bought it, you know, and I'm hauling my boat around everywhere I go in that thing because I want to be able to at least fish on the fly, right? And so fucking now I was just literally looking out the fucking window the other day from my studio in the parking lot, and I saw another fucking TRX. I thought I was the only one in this fucking building that drove one, but nope, neighbor over here has one too. So I'm like, why would I notice that now? And I didn't notice that before. Mm-hmm. That's what's called a reticular activating system, right?
Yeah, a cool story. I don't know if I said it last time, but if I did, you guys can cut this out. But okay. On my birthday, we went out and we had lost a few items that night. Like I lost a $100 bill, lost my car. Like, dude, where's your car? Kind of situation. It was pretty bad. So I was trying to find my $100 bill. I just thought, let's go downtown and see if it just happens to still be on the ground outside. And we go up, and we find everything, and we even find my $100 bill
No
folded
way.
up. Yeah, there's 3 homeless people sitting in a circle around this $100 bill
What
on
were
the
they
ground.
doing? Having some type of ritual over the $100 bill?
I don't know, but they definitely weren't seeing it.
So you lost the $100 bill, and then you thought about finding it, and you went downtown, and you found a $100 bill on the floor.
It was my $100 bill too. So it had been sitting there all night, all morning, and these homeless people are sitting around it, not seeing it. So I walk up, and I pick it up, unfold it, look at it. I'm like, all right, yeah. Put it in my pocket. And they were like, was that there the whole time? And I said, yeah, it was. And we walked off, and my friend was like, are they kind of stupid or something? There was a $100 bill the whole time they were sitting there. And I said, they're not stupid. It's a reticular activating system. They didn't believe $100 could be sitting there, so they didn't see it. And we have every opportunity that we could ever want, because the moment we think about something, we've already created it. And but the only reason we don't see it right away is because, well, we have some bugs we're working out from old beliefs, but it's because we don't believe it could be there right now. When you believe it can be there, and you really believe with full faith, your mind, heart, everything is in alignment to that, that's when you really believe. It can't help but show itself.
That's so crazy. It's like seeing, and people say seeing is believing, and then you're like kind of saying believing is seeing.
Yeah, when you believe, then you'll see it. But you believe it because you see it in your mind first. So it does start in your mind. And you've got to make it where it's in alignment with your mind and heart. So it creates this like electromagnetic force field. This vibration is just going out saying, hey, come on, this is what I want, come towards me. And it does. Like whenever you, like even in relationships. So, I wasn't I've had good ones, but I also had a really bad one.
Yeah, we all have,
And well, during that time, I noticed my mindset. And it was actually because of that I really dove in way more on mindset than I ever have. And I always was more into a mindset kind of thing anyways. I was really into the Akashic Records, all of that before I even got into real estate. And a yoga teacher, all that. But
of course,
because of that, I was like, what am I doing to attract this? Because I got to take accountability. If you want to change anything, and I heard Aaron say that earlier, you got to take accountability. And so I was like, what am I doing? And I started thinking about, what are my beliefs right now? What am I thinking? And I had allowed myself to be somewhat brainwashed to think that I wasn't worthy. I think a lot of us have.
Yeah.
That you're not worthy. You've got to work hard for this. Or this is good as it can get. Be grateful for it. And growing up, I was told, when you love somebody, you forgive them. And I was never told when to stop allowing it, So
wow.
To have somebody who took advantage of that, wasn't, it hurt, but it also taught me a great lesson of discernment. And then also, how am I thinking? And I noticed one of my beliefs was that I believed I was unlovable. So I was attracting relationships of people who could reinforce that belief for me at that time.
That is insane.
And I was like, what? And so I got to change that.
I think the best part about that is going backwards in time and seeing where those problems happened to kind of break the chain, but where the breaks in the chain were along the life journey, right? Mm-hmm. And then just kind of putting them back together and then moving on to the next part of that link. Because every year is like adding a chain link, you know what I'm saying? And so some years the chain gets broken and then you have to go back and then fix that for a second to move forward again. You know what? Then this is another thing too, because you were talking about something that your mom had said. What was the thing that she said? Forgive.
If you love somebody, you forgive them.
If you love someone, you forgive them. Got it, right? And so I think that a lot of the programming comes from what we were taught when we were younger. Mm-hmm. And so I'll give you a prime example. I used to go to fucking the grocery store with my mom all the time. And when we lived in Cleveland, we would walk by a house, right? And the Bone Thugs and Harmony, you remember them?
Yeah.
Yeah, they lived in that house together. It was a big ass house. We lived down the street.
Oh, that's cool.
This was before they were even glorified rappers. They were doing small shows. I'm talking this is early 90s. I must have been 3 years old at the time. I just remember my mom holding my hand and walking me past that house, and then all of them catcalling my mom, which is really cool because I can say that the Bone Thugs and Harmony hollered at my mom. And I love them, by the way. I mean, phenomenal group, right? But then we get to the store, and when we get to the store, I would see things that I would want, you know, like there used to be like this dinosaur craze of like the early 90s. Like dinosaurs were a really big thing for kids. So they had all these different dinosaur toys. There was a cartoon that was out at the time called Transformers, right? And in the early 90s, they came out with Beast Wars. So it was Transformers Beast Wars. And they were like a 3D show, and they went all the way back to the dinosaurs. And instead of the Transformers absorbing themselves into vehicles, they absorbed themselves into dinosaurs, right? So I loved that show when I was a kid. I'm giving you like pieces of my memory when I was younger. But they had those toys at the fucking register, like right there, you know, and my little ass was like in the bottom where I could see that shit. They strategically placed it there, right?
Yeah.
And so I would tug my mom's dress or my mom's shirt, and I'd say, Mom, I really want one of these dinosaurs, you know? And you know what she would tell me? She would just say, Mio, we can't afford it right now. That was it. And she would tell me that every single time. We'll buy it later. We can't afford it right now. We'll buy it later. We can't afford it right now. We'll buy it later. And so, you know, had my mom would have told me something different, like, that's good, son. How can we afford it?
Yeah. How can we get this?
How can we obtain that?
Yeah.
You know, I think that would have challenged traditional thinking massively, because then I would have to actually say, like, well, how can we afford that? You know, like, what is the thing that I need to be able to afford that? And then that opens up the creative part of your brain that allows for you to say, this is a problem in front of me. How do I solve it? Versus like, this is how it is. It says, like, when you tell someone like, we can't afford that right now, this is how it is. And this is who we are. When you tell someone, well, how can we afford it? You say, this is where our income level is right now. And this is what's attainable.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And so then it's up to our creative aspects. Not that I'm fucking 3 and trying to figure out how to be an entrepreneur or anything, but these were things that I wish I could go back and learn again, you know, because I know them now. And so I teach a lot of this stuff to my son so that he can know, and then it just goes back and forth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I did the same thing with my kids. I was taught the same stuff that you were growing up. I think a lot of us were. And my son, he would ask me for stuff, and I would tell him, well, what can you do to make that happen? And I remember him telling me, I'm 4, Mom, I don't know. And I'm like, well, ask questions when you don't know. It's okay. You don't have to figure everything out. Ask. And he's like, oh, well, what do I do? I'm like, well, at daycare, do the kids like candy? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, bring this to daycare. Make some Kool-Aid popsicles. Sit in the front yard. I'll make you a little booth. You should sell a little. And I would make him think for a little bit, because one time he was like, what can I sell? I don't know what to sell. I need to make more money. And I was like, well, what do we have? Be resourceful. Look around the house. What do we have that you can use? And he was getting frustrated, and he comes back up to me. He was like, I don't know what to do. And I said, do we have Kool-Aid packets? And he was like, yeah. And I said, make popsicles. Okay. And he was like, we don't have little popsicle things. I said, what can you use instead? And he was like, I don't know, Mom. And I was like, let's do Ziploc baggies, make them triangle popsicles. Okay. And then we'll stick a little thing in there, and there you go. And I said, stick a little piece of bubble gum in there and charge twice as much. And he made $65 that day off Kool-Aid.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So now he's a very entrepreneurial spirit.
How old is he now?
He's 21.
And he has his own business?
Not yet. He's investing in crypto. For a 21-year-old,
Still
he's making
amazing.
like $80K as a manager at a sand factory, and he's doing crypto investing. He's bought his first house. You know, he's really doing very well for a 21-year-old.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I know he's going to get bigger, because now he's like, okay, Mom, I'm ready to learn the wholesaling stuff, because for a while they kind of fought me on that, because I was a little obsessed with it. And
Yeah.
they didn't like the obsession. So they're like, I don't want to be like that. But now they're seeing, okay, I'd rather do that than what I'm doing.
Which kind of comes back to the whole seeing is believing thing too, you know. But you believed in wholesaling before you even saw the outcome, because you believed in yourself, you know. And so I think for, like, I remember when my brother was, I tried to show him wholesaling in 2014, and he was like, I'm not going to do this, Q. And I was like, why not? It's a good opportunity for us to go into business together, and we can make this happen. At the time, I didn't really have a good reputation. I think anything I had ever done up to that point completely failed, you know?
Yeah.
And, I was just selling weed, so it was hard to take advice from a drug dealer, too. And so, I love my brother to death, but I wish he would have joined me then, because I didn't have anybody to support. But this is what my brother told me. He said, you do it first. If it works for you, then I'll join. And then 3 years later, he's my first employee. And then literally 3 years even further after that, he comes back and he runs my office for 2 years. And so, you know, I had my brother on salary. He had his own hours. He could leave and come when he wanted. He could oversee the whole floor from home if he needed to. And he could be more present for his kids. You know, he went on and had another kid while he was working at our office. And so it was like, you know, my brother has 4 kids. So he's just like completely hands full now. But he did put in his 2 weeks for the company, so he finally got a better job, getting paid 6 figures a year, and they're giving him massive benefits. Not saying that he wasn't able to do that with me, but I didn't give him insurance because over here you're still a self-employed business owner, you know? Mm-hmm. I pay all of my people internally, but I give them all the resources and tools that they need to succeed. That's been my business infrastructure, but he wouldn't have never have done that stuff had I would have not have shown him what it could have done for him. And he's closed more deals than I can fucking count because he's been a part of what we've been doing for the last 2 years. And we've closed over 1,000 real estate transactions at this point, almost a decade into the game. And so, you know, the mindset part of it is a really big thing. I don't think that a lot of people in your proximity are going to believe in what you're capable of doing until you show them that it's real.
And you have to show them consistently. It can't be like just a few times. They need to know that it's really something that's can consistently happen. And you had mentioned something about problems and solving problems earlier, and I wanted to touch on that because I was thinking this morning about, you know, what's the difference, and I'm not trying to be derogatory to anybody, between a loser and a winner. Do you know? What would you say?
I mean, one of them is fucking getting it. The other one is just like not getting it at all.
Yes. Well, I agree. Yes. I think what the difference is losers, when a problem is presented, because we all have problems, but I think problems really are like a gift that's gift wrapped in some bullshit, you know, like, but to get to the gift, you have to get into the problem. You got to solve it. And it's presented to you and you're like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. Well, losers will blame people for their problems. They won't appreciate the problems that come their way. They won't learn from their problems. And all they do is usually complain about their problems and use that as an excuse why they haven't moved forward, not realizing that if they had just faced the obstacle and gotten the other side, they would have gotten closer to what they wanted. And that problem is basically teaching them the next skill they needed to get closer to everything they desire. But they are the ones who get themselves back by blaming the outside world for why they have this problem or why they can't fix it. Because the same person that says, this is why I didn't do this, the winner is over here, this is why I did this. The same exact reason of why this person didn't do it. Like, example, my mom didn't go to college because she got pregnant with me at 19. I got pregnant with my son at 18. I went to college because I got pregnant at 18.
Wow.
So the same reason somebody uses an excuse can be somebody's reason to do it.
It's true.
And so it's never the problem. It's the person's mindset on, can I solve this problem? And when you have that mindset of, I can solve whatever problem comes my way, you're a winner. Because there's going to be problems that come up no matter what.
Do you think that somebody should go back and solve problems that they've had, like with other individuals, not just internally, but like relationships, prior to advancing in their life?
It depends. I think you need to use discernment. If somebody's dangerous, maybe don't put yourself around them again while you're trying to solve a problem. Some people, when you try to go back, they are not... I think it's important to understand everybody only understands things at their level of perception. So some people, you going back and apologizing will actually make them think that you feel like you're better than them.
That's crazy talk. Okay, reason why I'm asking that. This is complete left field, what I'm about to say, Mitzi.
Yeah.
And I can't believe I'm saying this shit on a podcast, but what the fuck? This is uncut. So when Laura and I separated, I was single for about like 6 months. And it was great. Not that being single sucks, not that I'm not happy in my current relationship, but there was a girl that I had a crush on in high school, okay? And she ended up having like 3 kids. I wasn't wanting to be a stepdad or anything, but I would say that there was like this is a man thing that I'm talking about, no offense to anybody who's a lady that is listening to this, but I had a sexual conquest, right? So like I wanted to mate with this woman. Yeah. Regardless, right? I hadn't talked to her in years, so we're just texting, and she's really making me feel better about the situation because, you know, when you're alone and you just lose somebody that's really important, because prior to that, me and the lady that I had been with, lady I'm still with today, we were together for a very long time before separating. So I was conjoined to her emotionally, spiritually. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it when you're with someone for a long time. And so we were about 5 years into our relationship. And so when I met this gal, I was just really just trying to process what had happened. Because a lot of stuff I did wrong. And so it is what it is, you know, but I lost my lady and I lost my son. And so when that had happened, I was just alone. So I had nobody to talk to, really. And all of my friends were either in jail or figuring out their own shit or didn't want to make time for me. So I'm just buying real estate to make myself feel better. I know it's a actually really productive thing that you can do when you're in a breakup is become super successful. But it wasn't filling that void, you know. So I started talking to this girl. And so this girl, she was a super sweetheart. Awesome. We were just hitting it off. Like she was just like telling me how cool I was. And she was telling me how like she was glad that we got connected again and how she had always liked me. I didn't know that she liked me, you know? So at this point I was like, wow. Right. So it's a genuine conversation that we're having that build up. And it's really nice to have a conversation with somebody. Dude, she sends me a random video of a dildo attached to the bed frame. And she is just going at it on the dildo. Wow. And I was not expecting that. So when I opened up the video, I was like, what the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't ready for that jump yet. I was already really happy just talking to a chick that I liked, right? And so I fucking blocked her right after she sent me that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, completely blocked her. Stopped talking to her and everything. I didn't even give her an explanation. We were like,
you don't have to.
Talking amazingly, and then she sends me that one thing, and I was just like, okay, boom. So why did I bring up that crazy fucking dildo story? But like, I shit you not, I've never been sent some shit like that in my whole life. I almost threw my phone.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, you know, I blocked her completely, and then just very recently, about a month ago, she messaged me on a Facebook. She didn't have Facebook when I met her. She only had Instagram. So like I blocked her on Instagram, blocked her on my phone, blocked her on Snapchat, blocked her on fucking everything.
Yeah.
I felt like that was mean for a long time.
Still single?
Well, absolutely. Yeah, I was single as fuck. I just thought that that was too vulgar and I wasn't ready to make that crazy jump yet. Yeah. I may have had a sexual conquest, but I didn't think that she was going to make it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I was not expecting to see a message like that.
Well, she took the chasing out.
Exactly that. As a man, I want to hunt.
Yeah,
okay,
she
so
took
like
the chase out.
I felt like at that point it was just like, wow, I guess this is what she sees me as. But it's not that big of a deal. Reason why I'm saying
even though
that,
you were looking at her like that, you're like, I don't want to be
yes,
like
but
that
you
like
know,
that.
make me hunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like in my head, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Right? I stopped talking to her completely, dude. So she finds me on Facebook and she sent me a message, and I was just like, she was like, you're a fucking asshole. Like, I know all these other people that look up to you. Your videos pop up on my fucking feed all the goddamn time, but I just want to let you know that I was a good girl to you and I was a good woman. And like, I was talking to you like you were amazing. And just to find out that you're a piece of shit like all the other ones and you just fucking blocked me for no fucking reason. You know, I could have taken that and I just could have gone like completely south on her ass and just fucking just said it like how it was, because what she sent me wasn't crazy. I'm not going to say her name. And I pray to God that she doesn't listen to this, because she's going to know. Like, there's only one girl that has ever sent me some shit like that.
You're the only one who knows, and she's the only one who knows.
Yeah,
so
that is true. That is true. Aside
safe.
from Laura knows, because I told her, you know?
Yeah.
But like, I was just terrified, man, because who the fuck sends you a video clapping a dildo? Like, whatever. Anyways, going back into what I'm saying, right? I said, I'm so sorry. I was in a dark place at the time.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting to tell you that I'm sorry. And this is my opportunity to do so. And so I just want to let you know that it wasn't you. It wasn't anybody else, even though it kind of was that situation. But I just wasn't ready for that level of communication yet. You know, and I hope that you're doing all right. And I pray over you and your family. And that was it. And she was just like, thank you so much, Q. And then that was it.
See, that's good.
Now, is that going back in time and righting wrongs, or is that just a crazy fucking situation and I'm crazy?
You weren't going back in time. You were addressing what was happening right then.
Yeah.
So
but that was something that I could have just let that go. I probably could have just read that and not replied. So I've been thinking about that, and I really wanted to talk to you about it on this podcast, but I didn't know I was going to go all out on this, but yeah.
I think whenever somebody comes up and the moment presents itself, then yeah, like come from a place of love, vulnerability, and accountability. And I think that can make a lot of wrongs right. And it cleared up the energy. So I think anything that you can do to clear up energy is great. So it's all about discernment, because like when it comes to apologies, there's so many ways people can take it. And sometimes people are apologizing not for the other person. They're just doing it for themselves. So do you really have to rehash that for that person, bring that back up just to make yourself feel better? Or is it really for the other person? You know, you got to figure out where your intentions are too. So you made her feel better. She was okay. And there was nothing wrong in what you did. I think that having good boundaries is good. And you don't always have to explain all your boundaries, because sometimes that can create an argument in itself. Mm-hmm. Like your boundary was, I don't want to be talking to a woman that is, you know, that I don't have to chase. Gotcha. You know, I don't have any conquest there. There's nothing to conquer. And that's okay. You took the energy out of that, so you didn't keep on seeing that. Had you continued in that, you actually would have gotten more of that kind of stuff, because of the reticular activating system.
Yeah.
So that was good that you cut that off, so you didn't have to continue to entertain that kind of energy. Yeah. So it wasn't a bad thing, and yeah, it probably hurt her feelings. But she probably is gonna think twice before she sends another video like that to somebody.
Oh, absolutely. I'm almost. I didn't bring it up when she messaged me that, but I did. You know, say that it was kind of fast. Is all. Mm-hmm. You know. And I wasn't ready for that. I was really just looking for like somebody who was willing to go long term, because I don't date, bro. Like I'll date for like a fucking few months, but after that, like this has to be a serious thing, or I'm gonna cut it off. You know what I mean?
I'm the same way. Garrett told me it's called a demisexual or something. Demisexual, where you are more into the person's mind and one person, not. And I don't know, did I get that right?
That's a sapiosexual.
Well,
that's when you're about someone's mindset. So you love them for the way that they think and articulate things. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what was it? Demi?
Demi is like, I'd have to look it up. Let's go ahead and pull out good old Google right now. Hold up. Let's see. A demisexual. Hey Siri, what is a demisexual?
According to Wikipedia, demisexuality is a sexual orientation in which an individual does not experience primary sexual attraction, the type of attraction that is based on immediately observable characteristics such as appearance or smell and is experienced immediately after a first encounter.
Yeah, I'm not the whole first love. Yeah, I don't like immediately like, oh, that guy's so hot, like I'm totally into him. I'm not that way at all.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It has to build up, and you've got to be able to hold a conversation too. But yeah, so I totally understand. You know,
it's a crazy way of looking at things, you know what I mean? But at the same time, the mindset aspect of it is maybe you don't got to make everything right. You just got to make you right.
Yeah, I think that's all it really comes down to is you, and making sure you're staying the vessel that can allow the flow to come through, you know?
Unless I can fucking quantum leap into the past and fix some shit, that's just wild.
Oh,
so we were talking about this, right? So go ahead and lay it down, Mitzi, because you were explaining that. I don't want to sound stupid.
No, I may sound stupid. I only know what I think I know.
You already know more than me, all right? The fact that I already said the words means it has to be talked about.
Yeah, so we were talking about it a little bit before the podcast, but the gateway experience. So back in 1983, the CIA wrote a document, and they were studying quantum physics. So they talk about quantum jumping. They were talking about astral projection. They were talking about remote viewing, like all these psychic abilities that we have, the esoteric, to see if they could actually create some kind of espionage during the Cold War. And they did come up with
espionage. Define, what is that word?
How can they get in there? And I don't know how to actually. We may have to look that one up too.
Hey Siri.
I know what it means, but I don't know.
What does espionage mean?
Espionage means the practice of spying or of using spies.
I see.
Typically by governments to obtain political and military information.
That's
They
wild.
were trying to do it through astral projection and through remote viewing, and so they
lock it, Jack, so people can't come in.
So they realized that some of the stuff was real. It wasn't. So they actually had a remote viewing section in the military. They were teaching them psychic abilities where they would do remote viewing, which is where they would give somebody's name, maybe a birth date or something, and say, where are they? And then they would start drawing where they were, like in an airport or Osama bin Laden in a hole somewhere.
Wow.
And that's how they were finding people. Well, it got so powerful that the U.S. stopped it. They didn't like that how powerful people were getting and knowing where people were, what people were thinking. And so they stopped it in the U.S. Russia and China continued it, by the way. Not good for us. But, so the gateway experience actually wasn't declassified until like 2003. So it's been out there for anybody. You guys can look it up. You guys can look up the gateway experience. And the Monroe Institute actually has the gateway experience tapes.
What does the gateway experience mean? What do you mean?
They do a hemisync in the brain. So they sync both sides of the brain together. And when you do that, you can... very powerful. This also happens in meditation, is whenever you sync the two sides of the brain together. This is when gray matter is actually increased in the brain too during meditation. But, oops.
You're good.
Keep hitting this like I
You're
talk too
fine.
much with my hands. But in 2003, when they declassified it, they allowed everybody to read it. But now it's just finally really getting out there because it's not like they announced, hey guys, we got to document that we just declassified on astral projection and quantum leaping and all the esoteric stuff that seems woo-woo. We pretty much proved it's real. And what they did is they would hemisync the brain during a meditative tape experience and then tell you what to do, or there's be some kind of intentions. And I think there's like 5 or 10 tapes. I have them.
Wow.
I can send them. You can find it on YouTube for free. You can download it all and you can just listen to it. But it's Bob Monroe of the Monroe Institute that came up with these tapes. And it's, gosh, there's so much to it. But they have like quantum jumping in there. And what that basically is they've pretty much proven, I don't know how much we've proven stuff because we're always coming back and saying, oh, we were kind of wrong on this. Now this is what we really mean. But if you go back to ancient societies, anything that they talked about back then, we are just now starting to prove most of that. They knew it the whole time. Somehow, between the ancient societies to us now, we got dumber. We don't know the basics and like how our mind works, how our emotions work, none of that. We've been pretty much programmed to be employees with this public education system, which was really developed for the Industrial Evolution, so you can't be an employee.
The Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, is what
Same
created
thing.
that.
It's kind of like an evolution. But yeah, I
Did I
understand.
say evolution? I said I meant revolution.
Evolution, yeah.
Yeah. But going back to the gateway experience, you should check it out, really.
I'm really fucking interested in this,
do you want to
bro.
know like one way you can quantum leap?
Yeah, throw it out there.
Well, what is quantum leaping? Do you know what quantum leaping is?
No, dude, break that shit down. I'm fucking completely clueless,
This is
my guy.
so cool. So quantum leaping is so there are parallel universes. And just imagine, here you are,
Okay.
but just slightly out, there's another universe and another variation of you right beside you on very close parallel universes. And then they go further out. So the ones that go further out are a lot different than you now. But the ones that are closer, just slight differences. But every time you've had an option to make a decision, just imagine it happened. Every decision that you could have made, that you had an option to make, created a new reality. And there is a you that made the other decision somewhere out there in one of these parallel universes. It's infinite.
Wow.
Okay. So quantum leaping is basically you jumping into one of these universes of another parallel you that already has what you're desiring. It's not about attracting it in this universe. It's jumping into the universe that already has it.
Wow.
That's why you don't actually have to wait. And have you ever seen people that don't seem to really be awake?
Yeah.
I call them avatars. And I think we have avatars in all these universes that's just waiting for our consciousness to bring attention to it. And whenever you see somebody all of a sudden come to life, you've seen it, right? We've all seen it, where somebody's just floating around and all of a sudden you're like, what happened to you? Why do you now have a personality? You know, what's going on? They just quantum leaped into that avatar and it's now coming to life. And it's the consciousness is being brought to it now. These avatars are just sleeping, waiting for our consciousness to be brought to it. So whenever you quantum leap, you're basically, it's like a radio station. You're tuning in to the station that you want to listen to. So you have to tune in. How do we tune in? We're like radar. We can tune. So how do we tune? How do we align? So people use the word align a lot, but I don't think they truly understand how deep it really is. How do you align to that specific universe that has what you want?
So crazy.
It's your mind and your heart. It's that faith. The book of Joseph that was actually taken out of the Bible talks about faith in further details. So people should check out the book of Joseph also. But how the mind and the heart, Joe Dispenza even talks about it. Bruce Lipton talks about it. Joe Vitale talks about it. All doctors of neuroscience. And a lot of the doctors in neuroscience have actually studied the brain. Oh, and they talk about the holographic universe in these gateway experiences. So this universe is just a holograph of what we've all decided it to be. And what level of consciousness level we are right at in this moment is what we're experiencing in our lives. God, there's so much that I could go into all of this.
Just, it's beautiful to know. And we need to talk more about this stuff because truthfully, we can do a whole segment on this. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But to go over it in detail, there's so much more than meets the eye.
Oh, yeah.
On some Transformers ass shit, like straight up. Marvel even covers quantum realities, and they talk about like different people and different, like basically like have you ever seen the movie Into the Spider-Verse?
No.
It's a badass, it's an animated movie. It's about Spider-Man, right? And so like Spider-Man, main character, and this one's a black Spider-Man. And then there are different variations of him out there. And so he gets to like meet all of them in one realm. But there's this guy who's trying to bring back his wife and his son who he had lost in some crazy accident that he had caused. And so the only reason that the realities were met was because he was trying to pull his wife and son from a different reality into his own so that he could have them back again. And so without realizing this, he was disrupting the flow of things. All the other Spider-Man jump in and they're all in the same reality, but they're fading away because that hole is closing where they come from. Yeah. Which would then make the whole like universe that we know completely fall apart. It kind of sounds like what you're talking about. Very similar. But I love Marvel movies, and you guys can learn a lot. Obviously, you can tell where they get their fucking information and inspiration from because this shit's beautiful, man. Dude, we got to do more segments on this stuff. Mitzi is going to be coming back, and we're going to be doing a ton of these different episodes where we talk about mindset. You know, for someone who's listening, though, Mitzi, if they're really trying to get in tune with their, like, with creating and manifestation as far as, like, getting their brain to believe that they can be successful, what would you be, like, what would you say would be, if you're trying to get somebody in tune with manifestation, where should they start?
Yourself. Know yourself. Because a lot of the things you think you want, do you really want them? Or is it what everybody else has told you they want, and you think if you can have it too, then everybody's going to look up to you? Know yourself. Are you going after the right things? Are you going after the things that really you desire, not everyone else desires, so you can feel important? So first, know yourself, and then figure out what is it that you really want. Second, write that down. What does that look like? How does that feel? Because when you can really feel it, because as human beings, every decision you make goes off your feelings. I don't care how logical you are. You do not make a decision off logic. You just back it up with logic. You make it through your feelings. So you've got to feel it. You got to see it and then feel it, smell it, taste it, bring all the senses in that you possibly can. You've just created it when you do that. Now it's letting go of the resistance and aligning to it, being it. It's not about doing it. It's being it. When you be it, doing is like an outside force. Being it comes from inside and it just comes out and it attracts. Doing forces, and sometimes it can push the pendulum and make it come back and hit you. So you don't want that. You want to be it. And so who is this person that you see that has these things? Because it's not you. Your personality must change because your personality is creating your personal reality in this moment. So if you want something different, you have to change. Who is this new you? How do they act? What do they look like? Who are they hanging out with? What are they doing? Be that person. And you can't help but align to it.
Beautiful. Love it, guys. Y'all make sure you tune in for the next time that we do another Mindset with Mitzi. All right. Love you guys so much. Make sure that y'all subscribe.